the board. 1 p.m. Eastern. Denver Broncos 4-11, 1-7 on the road. Kansas City Chiefs 12-3, 6-1 at home. Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri. 42 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy. 5-mile-per-hour winds. Take a look at the line history here. I handled the Chiefs with aplomb. What a mess I made of the Broncos. It's still eating at me. I couldn't watch the game, obviously. I had to turn that shit off. Chiefs open up minus 13.5, minus 106. That 13.5 is now plus money over at Pinnacle. The total opened up at 43.5, is now 44.5. Let's go over to the cash flow for this one. And they have given the Chiefs at Sports Insights some line value. At this point, it's sort of a third overall of all the teams playing this week. 2,991 tickets in, 60% of tickets, 78% of the cash on the Chiefs. And then 49% of tickets, 68% of cash on the under. Broncos coming off an embarrassing 51-14 loss at the Rams. Final straw for Broncos ownership, and rookie head coach Nathaniel Hackett was fired after the game. Also, special teams coordinator Dwayne Stukes, offensive line coach Butch Berry have been relieved of their duties. Senior assistant coach Jerry Rosberg, who was hired by Hackett in September to help him with game operations and clock management, which we never saw any kind of progress in, will be the interim head coach. They tried to give it to the defensive coordinator. He said no. Russell Wilson was terrible. I mean, just unbelievably bad. I just couldn't even – it was appalling. 15-27, 214 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks, 12 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions in 13 starts. He's been sacked 49 times. Rippon replaced him, went 4 of 8 for 45 yards and an interception. Judy caught 6 for 117 yards. Cortland Sutton, 5 for 64. Latavius Murray had 8 carries for 34 yards. They were not in a position to run the ball for most of the game. He was coming off a monster game 2 weeks back. The defense was atrocious. No pressure on Mayfield. 0 sacks, 1 quarterback hit. The Rams were 6 of 10 on third down. 5 of 6 in the red zone. Broncos allowed the Rams to score on their first 8 drives. This is just an absolute mess, and it's just getting worse and worse. Dulcich was ruled out with a hamstring injury. He's expected to miss time. So you'll see Saubert or Tomlinson there. Tomlinson at tight end, and just more targets for Sutton and Judy. Chiefs coming off a 24-10 win at home over the Seahawks. The Chiefs only put up 297 total yards, but were efficient, 3 of 3 in the red zone. They were just 3 of 11 on third down. It was an interesting game. They were in complete control the whole game, but I don't know what we're going to get from the Chiefs week in and week out. You see them put up 500 yards and score 24 points. You see them put up 297 yards and put up the same 24 points. Mahomes was 16-28 for 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce was excellent, but no other receivers were dangerous. McKinnon out of the backfield was dangerous. He has 6 touchdowns in his past 4 games. Isaiah Pacheco, 14 carries for 58 yards, caught 1 pass for 32 yards. The Chiefs defense shut down the Seahawks, held the Seahawks at 2 of 14 on third down. Chiefs had 2 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Juan Thornhill had an interception. We'll talk about it more in the Seahawks game, but when the Seahawks stars came out without their shirts on to show that they were not afraid of the cold, I was like, oh, you are afraid of the cold. If you have to prove it to us like that. I got so confident on my Chiefs action watching them out there with their shirts off, pretending that the cold wasn't going to hurt them. Take it away for us here, Andy. Broncos, Chiefs.
Yeah, the Broncos. And I guess I don't blame that defensive coordinator for turning down the job. He's like, this is not the week for this, guys. I have to prep for Patrick Mahomes this week. You think I have time to run a team that's been run into the ground? I wouldn't have taken that job either. And it's hilarious. I mentioned this to Drew when that Schefter tweet came across that said the interim job was given to the guy who was in charge of clock management and timeouts and stuff. I'm like, is this a fake Schefter? Is Barry getting us here? What's going on? And honestly, just what a mess up there. And you can't fire Russell Wilson. It's the weirdest part about how all this works. You can get rid of a coach anytime you want, but man, they're stuck. They're married to him. That is such a big contract. This could be an albatross around their neck for weeks, years. It has been for weeks, but he's just not looking very good. I wonder if the system up in Seattle was more important than we thought for his career, because he just looks lost at times. And yeah, this is way too many points, but how many points do the Chiefs actually have to score to cover this? Yeah, are you confident that the Broncos can get to 14 points? It feels like the median score here for the Chiefs is probably, 24, 27? If they get to 27, you got to get 14 points out of the Broncos. It's asking an awful lot out of this team these days. And this Chiefs pass rush has been halfway decent. So it's gross that it's Chiefs or nothing. And, they have everything to play for here. It's a pretty tough slope for them to move up from the 2 seed, but they do want to at least maintain that 2 seed, obviously. They lost to both the Bills and the Bengals, who will play each other this week. One of those teams will lose. So they have an outside shot at the 1 seed, but it's another one where it's like it feels like a walkthrough game where the Chiefs just come out here and beat a bad team by like 10 and they don't put anything on film. They don't get too fancy with it. They know they don't need to. It's a home game against a team who just fired their head coach with a bad quarterback at this point. So not a game I'm super excited about betting on. And truly, like I said, I think about betting the Broncos, which is, man, divisional game, getting this many points. It doesn't matter who's playing. It's still the NFL. It's just, it's somebody pointed, how big is this coaching edge? The biggest that it can be. Like, a Hall of Fame coach versus a guy who's picking up the clipboard off the sidelines after the other guy got escorted out of the building. So you do see a bounce sometimes for interim coaches. It is a divisional game, and it's a lot of points. But I feel like I'm going to be taking the Broncos like plus 24.5 live at some point during this game.
Yeah, I can understand. Like, God, I can understand the idea that the Broncos will play the Chiefs much tougher. The Chiefs, when they have something to prove, like they did when they went to San Francisco, they'll stomp on a good football team. I don't know if they could do that again necessarily, but they sure showed us that they could do it. There's nothing to prove here. And the Broncos, in a divisional spot like this, I could see backing them, but I just don't know how I could put money on them again after what I saw. But whenever that happens, it seems like they're going to play better here in a divisional game at Kansas City. Yeah.
It just, the defense, it's like, did the defense finally just say, why are we playing this hard for a team that can't score, and just gave up last week?
Well, clearly
that was rough.
The offensive line did.
Yeah.
There was that.
Yeah, they looked bad in every phase of the game. It was embarrassing. Like, that was a really rough bang. I felt pity watching that game.
It was horrific. I just couldn't believe how bad it was. Okay, well, I guess if you're in Kansas City, Chiefs are pass. I'm Broncos are pass, which is leading us to a pass. Do you feel like the under is in play? I mean, it's gone up a point from the Pinnacle opener. I'm a little surprised at that. But I don't know. Do you have any interest in the total?
I think it probably is about where it needs to be. Like, this does have all the stink of just like 35-10, where it's like the Chiefs just come out and blitz their ass in the first half. It's 24-0 at half. You get a second half under, and it's real close to the total in the long run. So no interest in this one. This is such an ugly game. There's a couple of these this week.
I have some interest in the under, but
yeah, I made cases to like bet on both sides of this total. It's just, the Broncos defense is so bad, you kind of want to lay it. Like, the Chiefs might just win by 20 as the median result here, or it's a divisional game with the dead cat bounce, getting a lot of points. It's still an NFL team, so it's like Broncos or nothing, which just, yeah. And Max pointing out, Chiefs just want to get healthy. They just want to remain healthy. They got bigger fish to fry.
All right, no move for either of us, but I do have some interest in this under at this point. No move tonight after the show, though.